The government want to bring in this new course, I suppose, for the leaving cert, and I've been following this for a long time. And obviously everybody agrees the environment is important, your local environment, your local community is important, nobody doubts that. But what this is suggesting, this climate act, pretty much activism you could call it, climate action, sustainable development, the usual carry on. It's all pretty much alarmist. What I mean by that is pretty much trying to... We already see in Ireland at the moment, young people have anxiety, are depressed, etc., etc. And pretty much what you're going to hear in this is the world is born and everything is bad, everything's evil, and everything's going to blow up, etc., etc. And that's not going to make any young person's life doing the leaving cert. The leaving cert is stressful. I've done the leaving cert. It's stressful. But they hear all this when you've been taught this and how to organise and stuff to counter this and how to counter this. It's pretty much very extremist, if you may use that word. Now, as I say, environment is important. Of course, it is important. I'm an environmentalist, which I believe, but still, nonetheless, this is all alarming us. Pretty much alarming us. Climate alarming us. Pretty much trying to make people afraid to even walk out the door in case they having emissions, they produce emissions, etc., etc. That's pretty much what it is. It's pretty much just alarmist, to be told. It's pretty much trying to make people be afraid. Pretty much, that's more or less what they're trying to do here, and how to organise and stuff like that, because it encourages climate activism. Like, at the end of the day, it's up to an individual. The school or the state shouldn't be saying, you must do this, you must go out and protest for the environment to get rid of turf or whatever the state decides to do. That's up to the individual themselves if they wish to do that. I don't think the school or the state should be saying, you must do this, we're going to try and promote you to do this, and you vote Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael and, of course, the Green Party. But obviously, there's a lot of backlash to this straight away, because it's probably never been done in the history of state. First of all, to try and encourage young people to be pretty much go out and do protests and stuff like that, and then cause a ruckus and stuff like that, pretty much. As I say, there's loads of uproars, because it is very radical. It is really, really radical. And it's pretty much fear-mongering. It's pretty much trying to make people afraid. And then obviously colonialism too. Don't get me wrong. It's played a massive role in other countries. Ireland was conquered for a long, long time by the British. But pretty much this is social justice 2.0, pretty much. But let's be fair. The main thing when it comes to climate change and the environment, in my opinion, is that regardless if we turn the whole country upside down and inside out, what I mean by that is if we tear all the houses down and knock all the chimneys down and we get rid of all the cows and all the cars, etc., etc., it would only make, in the whole Republic of Ireland, would only make less than probably 1% difference in the whole world's emissions. What I'm saying is, we have to go after India, we have to go after China, we have to go after the United States of America. Take, for example, the Russian-Ukraine war. There's huge amount of emissions to take Stoke one on green energy. What I'm trying to say is, unless every country in the world does something for climate change and the environment, why should one small country in the middle of Europe, in the outskirts of Europe, may I say, turn its country inside out and upside down? While other countries, take for example China, 50 times, hundreds of times bigger than us in population and industry, etc., produces the majority of the world's goods, plastic goods. Why should Ireland turn itself inside out when China's building more coal power plants, and we see in India too, they're producing billions of tons of coal a year, and we're sitting here and we're saying to young people, go and do this on the streets of Dublin, etc., etc. Would it not be better going to China or going to India and protesting in India and China? Because that's where the climate action is needed, in China and India. I don't think the Chinese authorities would take it too kindly, but that's where the real oppression is happening in terms of climate action, because it's China and the big major powers who's preventing climate action, if you ask me. But it is very radical. Like, it is really, really radical. And I wouldn't be saying it because I was watching this for the last few years, the discussion about it. And it is very, very radical. Now, it's supposed to be rolled out in 2027, so another few years. And again, there's a lot of backlash to it. Like, the government done, I suppose, a survey, may use the word. And the majority of people, they asked, like in the survey, did they agree with this? They were very negative on parents, saying that this wasn't too great, to be totally honest. Because it is very, as I say, it's really, really something that we never seen in Irish education before. Huge anxiety. Like that's what it's going to cause. Like that's literally what it's going to cause. It seems to be. It's important to learn about the environment and your local communities and stuff like that. I think everybody agrees that. There's no issue with that. But there's the fact of the matter, climate activism. I don't know what to say to you about that. And then obviously, pretty much all this. I don't mind disinformation. It's important to know what's real and what's fake, of course, and how to distinguish stuff. Of course, I don't have an issue really with that. But it's mainly too. We should be telling young people, particularly, to stand up to the state. It's not because again, they're saying that it's the Irish people, it's the Irish farmer that's the worst criminal. When in reality, it's our politicians who are the criminals, and who they should be really protesting at. But again, they're saying that it's the farmers, it's the only Irish Joe that works 9 to 5. They have a car outside, they're paying huge amount of taxes and stuff like that to go to work and bring the children to school. They're the problem. It's not the politicians or the big industries. It's them. It's the Irish taxpayers. The problem. It's pretty much trying to turn people against each other too. But there's many different angles you could cover. But I deem this as very radical, and I think the majority of people would deem it too. But particularly the climate activism part, I wouldn't mind really any other part of it. It's pretty much the climate activism part. Because at the end of the day, when I done CSPE, which probably be added into this in the junior sort, we learned about climate, we learned about different things, politics, democracy, education, like elections. And what the teacher didn't say, go out and protest for this issue, or go out and protest for that issue. You were given the information pretty much, and you were able to decide for yourself. Do you agree with it? Do you not agree with it? What's the story? That's democracy. That's freedom. But physically sitting in the classroom saying the teacher to tell you, you must go out and protest because of this, because that's pretty much what it's going to be. There's students who go out to the school to protest because about the environment. It's not that they can't afford a house and stuff. They can't afford to. They have no hope of ever owning anything in this state. There's many different things looking at it that way. But anyway, let me know what you think. As I say, it's very radical, in my opinion. Again, I'm being reasonable here. Like a lot of people would be very unreasonable in terms of this. Like I've seen a lot of comments online, take for example, that are very people being very unreasonable, saying the whole lot of it should be abolished. Now, obviously, there's parts of it, as I say, there's other parts that need to be looked at. But the whole I don't trust them with the whole basis of it. First of all, but there's many different, as I say, there's many different ways of looking at it. But the main aim of, as I said at the beginning, it's pretty much alarmism. It's trying to make people afraid to do anything. That seems to be to me, because there's no other explanation why there's all the fear mongering that's happening. But anyway, let me know what you think. Subscribe more and bye.